I'm still a small town guy from Karimganj, Karimganj Fua, as we would call it. So the point is, APSC but civil service is not a very difficult exam, and I'm saying this both. I mean, from my experience as a teacher for the examination, because I was a director of competitive examination, I still am at University of Science and Technology. Think I'm a student. Fear is the biggest enemy, and the fear of failure, which unfortunately society puts in us. ওই যে কাকু মেশো দাদা ভাই সবাই কইন তোমার দ্বারা হইতো না পারছো না নি তুমি এ হে তোমার উলি না নি আইআইটি গেছো না নি তুমি just forget about that. If you dream it, if you're aggressive, कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा. A, B, C, D, কিছু না কিছু click হইবো. And Barakville students are very aggressive. यार আমরা students সব প্রচুর talent আছে. And Silcharlive team, you're doing a fantastic job. I mean, I had no idea the social media was so popular in Barak Valley. I mean, তোমরা page দেওয়ার পরে it's like really gone viral and people have been like calling me and stuff. And so thank you. It was a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. This is Vedant Purkasta from Silcharlive, and today we are in conversation with Mr. Anurag Rudra, who has scored the 8th rank in APSC exams, and he is a very established person with a lot of exams and a lot of what do we call it? Lot of medals to his name, if you can say so. Today we will have a talk on a mixture of languages. I'll be using English as well, Bengali as well. So, starting with that, Anuragda, let's start with how did you start thinking about APSC? এই চিন্তাটা মাথায় আইলো কই থেকে? Did somebody probe you into going for it?
First of all, let me thank entire Silcharlive team and Vedant for having me here. I'm very pleased to be involved today. And though I disagree about being really established, I think I'm just a commoner. I'm still a small town guy from Karimganj, Fua, as we would call it. But I think the idea of civil services first germinated in my mind back in Karimganj. We're small town people. So while I think my college friends from the metros, they dreamt of going abroad and doing MBS from Wharton, we small town kids are stuck with, DM banna hai and collector banna hai and civil service dena hai. So that's pretty much the crux of the small town dream. But then at a later point of time, I think the idea really germinated properly when I came to study in Cotton College. I think coming to Cotton was one of the most defining moments of my life. And I really got a lot of brilliant batchmates. And if you see the list of the APSC this year also, it's like a mini reunion of Cotton College. There are more than 50% students are from my Cotton background. So Cotton had that culture of giving civil services, though not mainly for UPSC, but for APSC. So I think that was the first time when properly, seriously, I thought of, let's say, Kichige, Nite Lagbo, Madimu Fore. So that's the first germination.
Very well. দাদা তোমার ব্রিটিশ কাউন্সিলেরও একটা সার্টিফিকেট আছে, so if you would please elaborate on that.
Yeah, so basically I think for those of our viewers who don't know, I actually studied English literature in Cotton College under Guwahati University those days, and I was the topper of my batch in English also. I secured the highest marks in English literature in the university. It was a record marks, in fact. So I had a love for literature and languages, but I was very clear कि मुझे professor नहीं बनना या academic में नहीं जाना. My mom was an academician, so and I wasn't really a very bala ছেলে, as they say, মানে খুব পড়াশোনা করে এরকম না. I scored well, but I had my share of problems in Cotton. I mean, both problem create করছি for my beloved teachers who thankfully forgave me. But let's say I was clear कि ठीक है कुछ तो पढ़ना है because पढ़ना पड़ेगा, কিছু পড়তে লাগবো, It's India, if you sit idle for 6 months, your neighbor will come and say kita kar raha hai. So kya karu? So I, at that point of time, I thought of doing it, and at a later point of time, I got this certification called Common European Framework for Reference of Languages. I got it recently though. That's a CAFR certification. That's one of the most globally accredited certificates for English. And I got the C1 grade, which is the second highest grade. Obviously, I could not get C2 grade because, I think the Europeans have a copyright over that, but that's the certification I got from British Council.
So now coming to the crux of the matter, we have before also we have talked with people who are from the IPSC or UPSC background, and there are people in our viewer like audience who really are going towards it, যারা APSC দলে খুব ইচ্ছুক, তো তারার লিগা তোমার কি কোনো এরকম আইডিয়া আছে বা তোমার এরকম কোনো বেসিক্যালি হেল্প আছে that you can do, any highlights of your time that you can give, share?
Yeah. Can I be completely candid and frank?
Oh, please be as candid as you want.
Sure. See, আমি সিলেটেড হই আর ঠিক আছে, বহুত দিন পর সিলেটি মাতি আর so the point is, APSC কোনো বা civil service is not a very difficult exam, and I'm saying this both, I mean, from my experience as a teacher for the examination, because I was a director of competitive examination. I still am at University of Science and Technology Meghalaya, so I train a lot of students for civil services. I already have successful candidates this year who are in my same list, my students who cleared the exam with me, and of course an aspirant. Civil service does not require you to be intelligent. It's a very big myth you have to be like first class and all that stuff. It's absolutely false. You just have to be very serious and very motivated. You have to be very serious and very motivated, and I think that's all it takes. See, once you decide ki ye karna hai, then you should follow through, be it for civil services, or I don't know, for becoming a cricketer, or for becoming a YouTube creator. The formula is pretty much the same. Than liya to karo, as simple as that. So I think for civil services, the biggest misconception in Barak Valley is Delhi jana padega, ya I don't know, Guwahati ana padega, and first class fast hote lagbo, schooler fast boy hote lagbo, সকালে 4টার সময় উঠতে লাগবো, and সকালে স্নান করিয়ে পড়তে বইতে লাগবো, all that stuff. I think that is irrelevant. If you want it bad enough, you will do it. That's my simple example. It's as simple as that. I just share a small story. I think the funda of preparing for civil services, one of my very close friends and seniors, who's right now in the who's in the services, not in the civil service but in a very prestigious thing. So when we were in like 10+2, we decided ki Silchar ekbar demo ke chalo farat momo khaimu. So we bunk classes. We knew ki ghar mein pitai hone wali hai, but we went there because bhai karna tha. That is the attitude you need to crack civil services. That's all, nothing else.
দিস ইজ ভেরি গ্রেট, কারণ কি আমরা মানে আমি আমার ছোটবেলা থেকে দেখে এসেছি, আমার যত বন্ধুরা ইউপিএসসি বা সিভিল সার্ভিসেস এক্সামের লিগা প্রিপারেশনও করে, they became so serious about it and they started losing their innocence and then started losing মানে মস্তি করার ইচ্ছাটা. ডু ইউ থিঙ্ক দ্যাট এত ইন্টারেস্ট মানে এত বেশি সিরিয়াস হওয়াটা দরকারই আছে? মানে কিছু কিছু মানুষের লেগে, যেরকম ধরি নাও একটা মানুষ হু ইজ নট অলওয়েজ ভেরি গুড ইন দেয়ার স্টাডিজ, তারা লেগে কি ওই রকম টাইপেরই সিরিয়াস হইতে লাগবো, या फिर जनरल आइडियाज एंड कॉमन नॉलेज से हो सकता है?
I think আমার যা মনে হয়, from my experience, may differ from person to person. প্রথম কথা হইছে গিয়া, I was never a very serious person, so ये मेरा पैदाइशी defect है. That's a secondary thing. But I think, very seriously speaking, as a teacher, I'll say this. I think it's not. See, there's a difference between becoming serious and there's a difference between becoming obsessed. There should be a clear distinction between both of them. Civil service cannot be your life. I was trying for civil services, and I think I've shared this with Vedant, and something very unfortunate happened, that both my parents passed away within 1 year of time. So I went into depression. मैंने छोड़ दिया, मुझे नहीं करना civil services. I was not obsessed with it. I had an aim कि करना है, but my circumstances were not that I could not go and prepare for that. But then again, my circumstances became better, so I said, ठीक है, फिर से करूँगा, but जब करूँगा, I'll do it seriously. I wasn't obsessed with it. If you make it your everything, you cut off your friends, family, your mental well-being will suffer. And civil service needs a great amount of mental courage and mental strength. And I'll say mental health. It's very important. We don't talk about the mental health aspect of civil services or IIT JEE or something like that. You hear the success, stories of toppers. आज मैं 8th rank हुआ तो लोग पूछ रहे सर बहुत अच्छा है. लोगों को ये पता नहीं कि पहली बार जब मैंने सिविल्स दिया हुआ था तब मैंने फेल किया, तो except 1 2 friends, no one bothered to call and say भाई चल साव खाइए কিছু হইতো না, so we need to talk about failing also. It's a natural part to fail, and fail karna is very natural. So don't be obsessed, be serious, don't be psychotic, do not be obsessed about it. That's absolutely wrong.
Now coming to the academic aspects, তুমি কিরকম টাইপের বই সাজেস্ট করবে পড়ার লিগা, কিরকম টাইপের মানে স্টেপস সাজেস্ট করবে নেওয়ার লিগা একটা অ্যাসপাইরেন্ট স্টুডেন্টের লিগা?
Acha, I think this will require 2-3 minutes of extra time, Vedant, if you allow me, I'll elaborate. Okay.
Please.
Yeah. First thing we have to understand, and I'm saying this from a Barak Valley perspective also. All right. See, first thing we have to understand is this, that the syllabus of APSC has changed this year. Okay, this is a completely new syllabus which has come in, which is entirely in line with UPSC. So naturally speaking, people who have an UPSC orientation have a clear and distinct advantage. That is the first and foremost thing. But to counter this, APSC has introduced certain rules like 30 to 35% of the questions will be Assam centric. वो वैसे भी होता भी है. Assam centric questions will come. So your preparation for the civil services now has to be a very strong balance between that of preparing for the UPSC and that of preparing for the UPSC. Somewhere in the middle, you have to hit that fine, sweet spot. Texts, আমি কইমু দুটা জিনিস আমি কইমু. First and foremost, your communication has to be very good. Your UPSC or APSC in the new pattern is a game of answer writing. Your writing skills have to be good. This does not mean that you have to be Vikram Seth or Amitav Ghosh. It means you need to write good, correct English. As simple as that. Second, what I think is very, very important is the way you study, not what to study. What to study is very easy. Textbooks hazaro hai. I think professors, seniors, there are a lot of online vlogs by toppers, who will suggest their preferred textbooks. What we do not discuss is what to study and most importantly how to study it. We don't know about scientific revision. Now amra concept is revision hoy কোন দিন পরীক্ষার এক সপ্তাহ আগে আমরা revision করি. But while preparing for civil service, see, the main villain here, or the main, I should say, the Achilles' heel here is the volume. It's so humongously big. It's so humongously big. That is the main problem. So the problem is not a difficulty level. It's class 12 level or past course level. The problem is so big, such a diverse range of materials from science to humanities. So textbooks, first and foremost, you have to go with the usual suspects, that is NCRTs, class 6 to class 12. You have to literally finish them off once or twice, most importantly. And then for every subject, like for example, we have got some clear divisions, like we have Indian polity and constitution. Uske liye Lakshmikant. But Lakshmikant is not enough because Lakshmikant gives you very static idea. So mains mein answer writing ke liye, you need to supplement this with some other notes, like Sri Rama is, for example. Economy is becoming very, very important. And now it is Vedant, I'd like to tell all the viewers is pehle, there used to be only one paper of general studies in the mains. Only one at Ekta Wasil. Now we have got 5 papers of general study. So that is a game changer. And general studies is not something you can develop in 1 or 2 months. The orientation for general studies needs time, at least a year's time. And I'm assuming you don't know anything, starting from zero. So NCRTs is very important. And NCRTs and your static books. Static books, you Google, you'll find hundreds of static books. Politically, Lakshmikant, economically, Shriram, Ramesh Singh. For, let's say, history, you have got Bipin Chandra or Spectrum, the common, the good textbooks, by famous authors. But the point is, you have to read them with an Assam-centric view. I'll give a simple example. For example, if you're reading Bipin Chandra, you will read about a chapter on the Sepoy mutiny or the rebellion. But you also have to read about what the Sepoy mutiny was in Assam. Now, if you read any textbook of Bipin Chandra or any national textbook, there will hardly be any mention of Assam. That is the first problem. So what you do, you end up buying a book for Assam history, and Assam history mein tum dekhoge, amra dekhmu je, Sepoy mutiny will talk about only Maniram Dewan in Brahmaputra Valley. But there was also a very strong Sepoy mutiny in Barak Valley, Latu. They asked me in the interview, Maligar was there, major thing. So you have to keep on supplementing from different sources. The internet is your very good friend. So I think apart from the standard textbooks, newspaper is very important. You can read either the Hindu or the Indian Express for national affairs, and you read the Assam Tribune. I think Assam Tribune is a very small newspaper. I mean, chota sa regional paper hai, but it's one of the best newspapers for its unbiased and balanced approach. So Assam Tribune plus Indian Express for current affairs, and I think any standard books. I'll say one thing: the lesser the better. In terms of materials and in terms of revision, the more the merrier. That's it. Simple as that. Nothing else.
So এখন পর্যন্ত দাদা যেটা কইছে আমি এটা থেকে এটাই ধরতে পারছি যে get your what is it called get your sources correct and get your sources very precise. আর তারপরে যেগুলা সোর্সেস পাইছো ওইগুলারে বারবার চেষ্টা করতে থাকো, ওইগুলারে পড়তে থাকো, keep practicing, keep training yourself and you will crack it, right?
True, absolutely.
Thank you. Dada, what do you have to say, anything more than this, like about APSC? How was your experience through the journey? কারণ কি এটা journey হয়তো because একদিন পড়াশোনা করে 1-2 মাস পড়াশোনা করে কিছু হয় না, it is a long
No,
journey to
true,
study, to understand, to learn the art, and then actually sit for interviews as well.
true.
Do you have any suggestion for the facing those interviews? কারণ কি interviews really become very scary for people.
Yeah, I'd like to share something fun actually. Huh? So basically,
Please do.
this wasn't my first interview, of course not, because I had been like giving interviews. I've appeared in interviews before the honorable high court judges. So I've been grilled sufficiently, and ऐसा भी हुआ है कि मैं इंटरव्यू निकल के मैं रोया भी हूँ. So I mean, I have been there. Okay, nervousness हर किसी को होता है. It's easy to coach students, and but when you're yourself in the examining room, it's a different thing altogether. I'll say one simple thing. Having a good personality does not mean that you need to be what we will call a stud. You don't have to be a stud or someone very ravishing to have a good personality. Simple, just be what you are. You have to accept your flaws and weakness, as simple as that. I have to accept, I'm not as good looking as Vedant. Mujhe accept karna padega, and I have to go ahead with that. Are you getting my point? So that is the way we do it. So we have our own strengths and weaknesses. And I think before you think of interviews and everything, people want their personality to be like this. Yaar, mujhe iska personality, apna personality ऐसे बनाना है, I'm ओला होता हूँ. That is not going to happen. The road to clearing interview starts with self-love. You have to accept what you are. You have to love yourself wholeheartedly and present that to the commission. The commission is a very knowledgeable body. People with 30 years of experience, they have met every kind of people. It will take them less than 2 minutes time to figure out what you are. So when I went for my interview, the chairman, Sir Pallab Bhattacharya sir, was there in the board, and Sanjeev Guhai Barua sir was there in the board, who was former DC Karimganj incidentally, and one madam whom I don't know was an expert. And the interview started on a very cordial note, and somehow they understood कि मैं fact के साथ अच्छा नहीं हूँ, because मैं ठहरा, I'm a student of literature, so facts are my strong point ना, ठीक है से. So then they began to grill me on facts, and I was just sitting there and smiling, because I have worked in the election commission earlier. I have faced grilling and galagali and show cause. I mean, वो मैं करके आ चुका हूँ. So I said, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're not going to scold me. So I was like, sir, I do not know. I'm so sorry. I'll go and look it up. It's my weakness, and I accepted it. And then it became cordial again. It says, okay, that's fine. Let's move on. So I think there's no point trying to pretend to be anyone else. And I'll just quote one line from Steve Jobs. You've got only one life to live. Why would you want to live it pretending to be someone else than what you are?
So takeaway from this portion is be confident and trust yourself.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So the moving forward, how is your তোমার experience কিরকম আসলো while coaching students? What are the different types of mindsets that you had to go through, and what did you think তারা কিভাবে কইলে পরে হেল্প হইব? কারণ কি হইতে পারে যে আমরা এখানে অডিয়েন্সের মধ্যে কেউ এরকম আছে যারা কইতে পারেন না, but they will resonate with you when you say.
আমি এই কথাটা আমি শেয়ার করবো দুই পার্সপেক্টিভ. প্রথম কথা, আই স্টিল কনসিডার মাইসেলফ অ্যাজ আ স্মল টাউন ফার ফ্রম করিমগঞ্জ, সো I'll speak from that perspective. Okay, and my experience of teaching students has been one of the most beautiful experience of my life. I'm really passionate about teaching. That's why I left 2 good government jobs to come back into teaching. I think people do the opposite, and I came back to teach, as simple as that. And I had good job offers from corporates and all, but I was not really keen. I said, nahi, mujhe padhana hai. And I think my students, the questions they asked me in the classroom, the way they grilled me, that sense of nervousness before going to the classroom every time, because my students may not be the most brilliant, but they definitely are the most aggressive. ठीक है, मुझे डर लगता है उन लोगों से. And and I think the questions they've put to me really helped me polish myself again and again. So I think looking at the different types of students, they're like my friends only. I consider them as my fellow travelers on the road. आज मैं घुसा हूं, कल वो लोग आने वाले हैं. I think fear is the biggest enemy. This fear of inadequacy. I'm not good enough. I can't speak proper English. আমি কিতা জিগাইতাম? Maybe I'll be scolded, and people will make fun of me. আমি জিগাইতাম না question. আমি কইতাম না, I'm not good enough. हे फर्स्ट क्लास वैसे है, बला मर्दर तो ना. This is the biggest. ये जो दिमाग में जो ये कीड़ा है ना, जो बोलता है कि you're not good enough. I'm not good enough, मेरे से हो नहीं पाएगा, because my family has said I'm not good enough, because class 10 में मेरा marks कम आया है और class 12 में मेरा marks कम आया है. That is your biggest enemy. You yourself are your biggest enemy. So I think for all the students, I'll just say one simple thing: give up the fear. Anything is possible. Believe me, this I'm telling you. And civil service one exam which I call the great redeemer. For every exam, you need to have minimum 60%, 50%, 40%. এমন একটা exam দিছে, it's like a second chance at your life. তোমার যত খারাপ হোক কিছু, তুমি হায়ার সেকেন্ডারি পালাটিকে ফোর্স না, কারণ তুমি বাইক নিয়ে ঘুরছিলাই, বা কলেজের সময় গিয়ে তুমি ইউনিয়ন বাজি খরচ ফোর্স না, and you think career is screwed. This exam gives you a chance to fix everything. मैंने भी वही किया, ठीक ना? I did well in my graduation, but then my life went downhill. I was absolutely wasted. Believe me, aske amar shobe, I think people look up to me as a teacher and mentor and everything, but believe me, I was a wastrel once upon a time. I'm not ashamed in saying that, and it has taken a lot of courage, my friends' blessings, everyone, my parents' blessings to come back from there. But I'll say one thing, as a student, I still think I'm a student. Fear is the biggest enemy, and the fear of failure, which unfortunately society puts in us. যে কাকু মেশো দাদা ভাই সবাই কইন তোমার দ্বারা হইতো না, পারছো না তুমি, হে তোমার হইলো না, আইআইটি গেছো না তুমি, just forget about that. If you dream it, if you're aggressive, कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा. A B C D কিছু না কিছু ক্লিক হইবো. And Barakville students are very aggressive यार. আমরা স্টুডেন্টস সব প্রচুর ট্যালেন্ট আছে, প্রচুর এগ্রেশন আছে. আমার এমন স্টুডেন্ট আইছে, in my university who could not speak English in the first year, and second year they're trying to speak bule bale wala khoira, and they're improving gradually. And ye bande jaake, they will end up clearing UPSC, mark my words, because they're aggressive. You leave the fear, anything is possible. So have a mountain dew, and dar ke aage jeet hai. That's all. I'm not like to regret that my parents are not here with me today. They're not in this world. They passed away when I was in college only. What I regret, but I think other than that, it's a great feeling to be recognized. It's a universal human desire to be.
From Dimpy Sharma. What
Yeah.
optionals did you take?
Yeah,